Welcome to the Do You Get podcast.
Because I don't think they get.
Actually gets, but do they get?
No, they don't get. Do you get that they don't get?
They
that
don't get
that
this
they don't get.
philosophy.
No,
don't get this philosophy.
They don't get it.
We
You don't get it. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Hello. Welcome to the Do You Get podcast, and this is Florence.
Hi guys, welcome back. It's Simi. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back, like Fran said. Today we have two special guests, one who has been here before and one who is a newcomer, both who are friends of mine, Chika and Emmanuel. Welcome to the Do You Get podcast.
Please talking like that.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Welcome to the Do You Get podcast.
I hope you guys have realized that Florence is my biggest hitter in this life. Clearly. How about you guys introduce yourselves so that people can know who you are?
Sir. Chika, you can go ahead.
Okay. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm Chika. I'm a college friend to Florence and Simi. What? I don't know what to say. What do you want me
You
to
said
say?
that's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Nice. Well, my name is Emmanuel. Like Simi said, I'm a newcomer here. I've known Simi for a while now. And yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Lovely. We're happy to have you guys here. So unfortunately this week there is no dilemma. But as usual, please send us a dilemma with the link in our Instagram bio and also the link in the description of this episode, and we'll address your dilemma as we receive them. But although there's no dilemma, this is still a very special episode because we are starting a new series of the podcast. Which is going to talk about like typical life events and transitions that we're experiencing in our 20s. So throughout this series, we're going to be bringing friends to share like their stories, experiences with different topics that we believe are relevant and relatable to, the journey of your 20s. So we're starting this series a little, I guess, heavy with today's topic, but I personally think it's an important topic that affects everyone at some point in their life. Typically, most people are introduced to this topic when they approach their 20s anyway, so I feel like it's perfect. So today we're going to be talking about grief and loss. Yeah. Just a little disclaimer for anyone listening. If you're experiencing grief or dealing with a loss of a lost one, we're sending you all the love in the world, and we hope that this episode helps you along your journey to finding a new normal. But yes, welcome to this new dispensation of this podcast. Don't you know that meme from King of Boys? Where she's like, "Welcome to this new dispensation," and she holds the cup up.
Oh, I've not watched that. It's only Raz people that know that one.
Relax.
Okay, so I guess I'll ask the first question, because I know all three of you have experienced loss of a close one. But I guess my first question for you guys is, just tell me a little bit about like what happened. So like who you lost and what that meant to you and when it happened.
So I lost my dad on August 17th of this year. So he had dementia and he was diagnosed January 2018. But we started seeing like symptoms a lot before that. So, but once he was diagnosed and like as the years went by, it was obvious that there was like a progression of his illness, and we are all very much aware of that. And during COVID time, when we went home from college, I was typically the one to stay with him most of the time. So I had that interaction with him, and I was with him like all the time, and then I could see, you know, how the disease was progressing during that time, and even after COVID. So it's just, even though like he was diagnosed a long time ago, and I feel like with me it was kind of different because I knew what was coming up. So I guess the grief kind of started even before he passed because I knew what was going to come. So I feel like my
Mm.
situation could be a little bit different. So, but even after he passed, obviously you're still going to have some grief, but since I knew I knew it was coming up soon because when you looked at him, you could tell that it was going to come very soon. So I don't know, but after his death, I don't know. I felt like there have been times where I felt, lonely, sad, of course, which is normal. But I truly struggled talking about him to a lot of people, to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. That's not my family, obviously, but to any of my closest
Mm-hmm.
friends,
Mm-hmm.
and Florence and Simi can attest to this because I don't talk about it ever, even if I'm feeling down, which I know is a really big problem because, you know, they're your friends for a reason. And if you're sad, you should be able to reach out to them. But for some reason, I just don't do it. I don't talk about it. I don't know. It's just so hard for me. But that's something that I'm trying to work on even after his passing. So yeah, that's me.
I can imagine that it's a tough thing to just bring up. Like you said it so many times that like you didn't know when to bring it up and like when to bring it up in conversation and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
bringing something heavy like that. Oh, sorry. But I was just gonna say, bringing up something heavy like that, just like out of the blue, it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
more difficult than you think. Like,
Oh, for
it's
sure.
so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, how do you tell people? I think I've definitely experienced that as well, and it's also like I'm a very private person, anyways. So and again, it's not news to broadcast, but in my life, I've never broadcasted anything, whether good or bad. Like whether I got a scholarship or I lost a job, it's only my parents that know. Like I don't really go around saying things. So when something as personal as this happens, it's just like you don't want to tell anybody. When it first happened to me, at least, like when I heard, first of all, I got a call, and that's how I found out. And till today, I can still remember that phone call just because it was so traumatizing. And it was my older brother
Mm-hmm.
that called me to tell me. And
Mm-hmm.
like my older brother is like one of my role models in this life. Like I look up to him so much.
Aww.
So when he called me and I knew something had happened because he was torn apart and he was just crying. And the first thing in my mind was like, I
Mm.
thought maybe my grandma had passed. But I'm like, there's no way that this woman passed and this guy is crying like this. So I thought, okay, maybe it's my dad or my mom. But he was just like, he couldn't speak. He was just shedding tears
Mm.
and crying
Damn.
and crying. And then I'm like, what is going on? And
Were
then
you
he
guys
just kept saying
FaceTiming?
my little brother's name over and over again. Yeah, because he called me on FaceTime.
Mm.
And
Okay.
he just kept saying his name. I'm like, what the fuck happens to this guy? Like, what is going on? And then he was like, oh, the police called me. And then in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe he's in jail or something. Or maybe there
Mm-hmm.
was, I don't know. When he said the police, like, honestly, it's crazy to think now that I'm talking about it, but my mind never went there. Like, oh, this boy is gone. Like, a million things came across my mind. Like, I kept saying, like, what's going on? Like, he was just speaking gibberish, honestly. I couldn't really hear what he was saying. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess because he was also traumatized as well. Um, and then he was just like, he's gone, like, he's gone. And I was just like, stop, don't say that. And he just kept, like, it was, it was crazy. And I won't forget immediately I called Chika because I had just spoken to Chika before my brother called me. And then I
Mm-hmm.
called Chika and I was just like, I don't even know. Like my brain, I couldn't digest it. Like in that
Mm-hmm.
second, I really couldn't digest it. And I don't know. It's just crazy because before that, which is funny, I had just gotten my nails done and I was ranting to my other friend Faye. I was like, "Oh, this nail tech did rubbish." Da, 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 da. Then I called Chika to complain about that as well. When then my brother called, and that night, because I was supposed to leave Dallas after the internship last year, so then I had saved one jollof rice like this. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to eat this jollof rice and chicken this night." Like, and then I didn't even eat dinner that night. I just went like it's just crazy. Like your whole world just stops, and it's
Yeah.
like no fucking way, bro. Like I couldn't move. I sat down on my couch for like 2 hours straight. I was just looking, and I don't think I've ever heard myself make that kind of noise, but I was just wailing. I was like, "There's no way." I was calling him. I was texting him. I was like, "This cannot be real, bro." I just spoke to you like what 2 days ago, and bruh, that shit was scary. And that was how I found out. Like, my older brother called me. Honestly, I feel bad for my brother thinking about it now because he had that responsibility of sharing the news, which I can't even imagine what that is like. Because we're a very close family unit, so honestly, sometimes it's like this. I can't imagine having to, you know, be the one to serve that
To
news to
share that,
somebody.
yeah.
Like that is crazy. But yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely
that was
heavy.
my introduction to loss.
Right. I guess I can go next. So like mine is pretty. I guess it's been a while now. Like, so in my case, I lost my father, uh, 10 years ago when I was 13, and I'm the only child of my mom and dad. So I was really close to my dad. We were really close. Just father and son. This type of stuff. And in my case, it was really weird because like it just kind of happened out of the blue. Like, I guess it would be different from like Chika's case, for instance, where like this was a disease or like it was an illness and like it was progressing. And in my case, it was just something where I woke up, like I spoke to him the night before. The next day, I woke up and we had a conversation in the morning. Honestly, because my dad was very like, I guess someone that tried to stay fit. So he went to the gym every day, every morning, and he basically had he had gone to the gym that morning, and he had come back. And when he got back from the gym, he had mentioned to me previously that, just kind of like a rule of thumb, like if you go to the gym after coming back from the gym, you don't want to take like soft drinks or whatever, because
Mm-hmm.
basically when you take those soft drinks in the gym, it basically meant that like they only gave soft drinks to people that were kind of like about to lose consciousness because they had a lot of sugar, and it would help them kind of like come to.
Mm-hmm.
So that day he had come back and he asked me for a drink. So I knew that something was wrong. And it was funny because I was studying for the junior school exam. I think Simos is
Becca, I think.
Becker, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I was studying for like that exam. And he just got back home, and once he got back home, he got the drink. I knew something was kind of wrong because like he was getting a soft drink and he never did that. It was kind of like a break in routine. And so I just, I look down at my book and I'm studying, and next thing I look up and he's like convulsing and like, like convulsing, like white foam, like coming out from his mouth and stuff. So I thought he was kidding at first. I thought he was playing. Like I thought maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't believe, like, I was like, what's going on? I'd never seen that before. And then he came to and started asking me like, what's wrong? Like, like he didn't know what was going on. And so I explained to him like what was happening, like like you were shaking, like like that's kind of scary. Don't do that. And they just started again. So I knew like at this point in time that this wasn't like this wasn't a joke. Like something was going on here. So yeah, I mean, well, just to cut the whole long story short, like my mom was downstairs cooking. I had to inform her what's going on, and she came in. Instantly she's an adult, like so she knew like something was like very wrong. So she just like started trying to you know get him all dressed up, like, you know what I'm saying, like put some clothes on him so we can take him to the hospital. Drove him to the hospital, got there, and yeah, like my mom was hysterical, so she wasn't really in the room with us in the room where they put him in, like to kind of like figure out what was wrong with him. She was just kind of outside, and like, it like Simi said, it's pretty traumatizing because I still hear the screams of my mom that day, walking around the hospital, and yeah, like, like I saw him take his last breaths, and yeah, the doctors kept trying to like get across to him to call his name, trying to like keep him there, like, kind of like the whole thing, like I guess you see that in movies, like, like stay with me, don't,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And he wasn't responding. But then I called. It's funny because like, it's not funny, but like I called his name, and I was the last name that he called before he died because he wasn't responding to the doctors. When I called him, he called my name, like my middle name, which is Chimobi. He called my name. He would call me Obi, and he called me that, and then after that we lost him. So yeah, that's just like a little summary of my own case, how it happened for me. I kind of it was really fast, but like I witnessed every part of it happen. Yeah.
Dang, that sounds very, very, very traumatizing. But I guess the question that I had is like, did that affect? I mean, it must have. It must have affected the your view of life in general, like what life means, especially since for you, Emmanuel, that happened like really, really early on in your development. So, how did that affect your view of life?
Um. I was fucked up. Shit. Like I was fucked up. Like, like for real. Like I was fucked up. Like, for real. Like it's great. I can talk about it now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
with, you know, um, I can just talk about it. Like, part of it being like, it's been so long. So, um, but I still remember. Like just like like Chika and Simi. Like like these are moments you don't really forget, like ever, like you don't
Right.
really like forget this type of things, like what happens, like you can recount it, like step by step what went on. But I guess to your question, like yeah, like it really messed me up, like being an only child. um I really had to find a way to deal with it because my mom, like I guess I didn't really understand the ramifications of what had happened because I was still so young, like to understand, like, okay, like there are consequences of this happening. I knew, okay, cool, I wasn't gonna see my dad again, which was like that was like my main stressor in my head. Like I'm not gonna, because I was the kind of kid, like my dad would go on like trips, like work trips, like for 3 days, and like I'm already losing my mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, asking my mom, calling him every day, like when are you gonna come back? When are you gonna come back? So like now trying to like understand the fact that like this wasn't gonna be like a business trip anymore. Like this was gonna be like this is real. Like I'm not gonna see this man again. It definitely did change my perspective because it made me really numb to like life in general, because I was like, like it made me understand how fragile it is. Like one day you can be
Right.
here and one day
Yeah.
you can be gone. So like I never really yeah, I guess just to yeah, it fucked me up pretty much. That's the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like I, even though I remember that day and everything surrounding like his passing, but honestly, I don't remember like my day to day, like 5 months after it happened. Like I was like I was living, but my body was just doing things. Like my mind wasn't there. Like I wasn't actually present, and like I definitely lost myself. Because the thing is that this happened the summer before my senior year at college, so I went back to school, but the grades are not showing that I was present. Like those are the worst grades I've ever had in my life since I've been born. It was bad. Like I wasn't going to class. Like I wasn't. And me, I love money. I was even skipping work. Like I couldn't move. Like I was just. It was really bad, and most of the time I suffered in silence because, like Chika was alluding to earlier, like you don't know how to tell your friends. Like, and the thing is that when you first tell people, "Oh, I've lost this person," it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." Da, 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 da. But people move on, and they're going to like
Yeah,
their life is going to continue.
yeah.
And like I don't want to say that they forget, but like it's not on the top of their mind anymore. Like they've said they've paid their condolences and they move on. But for you, you're
Mhm.
stuck there and you're reliving that over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like you can't it's like you kind of, at least for me personally, at least, it's like I was a ghost in my own body. And like all these responsibilities I have, like even the things I used to do in college with like certain orgs and stuff like that. And even with this podcast, like there's some days I'm struggling. I can't even tell friends like, bro, I can't move. But so you kind of put on this pretense and stuff like that. But like with things like grades and stuff, like it was bad. Like at some point I had to confess to my parents. I was like, this is I'm not doing well. Those are the only, I think I those are the only people I could actually go to and say I'm struggling. Like I'm not going to class. I'm not eating. I'm not moving. I'm not like I'm just existing. I'm not going to work. Da, da, da. And there's something my mom said, and she was like, "This is painful and everything. And I like it's difficult, but I guess you just have to think like he wouldn't want you to live your life this way. At the end of the day, like he wants what is best for you." And at that point, I just like honestly, when she said that, I was like, I don't really care. But I guess in hindsight now, I get what she's saying. Like he wouldn't want you to be upset and like waste away because that's one thing with grief. Grief is so crippling. Like it can
Mhm.
hold you down and hold you down bad. But the unfortunate thing is they're gone, but you're still here. So you have to, I guess, give yourself the mindset of okay, everything I'm doing now, I'm doing to make them proud, or like to like so like it's not. I don't. So it's not like oh, I just wasted my life because when you allow, you can. Grief is very very powerful. Like, I feel like it's one of the most powerful emotions ever. So it
Mm-hmm.
can hold you down and you can waste away, and your life becomes nothing. But then when you pass, you have nothing to show for it because of this thing that you're allowed to kind of take your life away. I don't know if I'm saying makes sense, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, hell
does.
yeah.
that's what my mom told me. She was like, you just have to, like it's hard, but you have to keep going, like because life will continue. You can't stop life as much as you want, like life to pause. Like I wish life could give me like 3 months. Let me just dig myself into a hole, cry, 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 and then wake up. But it's not gonna happen. So that was something that I had to learn. Like, and that's why the fall of my senior was rubbish, but spring I kind of woke up.
I feel like for me, it's a lot different because of the situation. Because,
Right.
we were all, well, my family and I, we were all expecting his death to happen soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in a way, I don't know, hopefully this doesn't sound bad, but like in a way, it kind of brings me a little bit of comfort that he did pass because leading up to his death,
Mm.
oh my gosh, if you guys could see him, like he did not, I don't want to get too graphic, but like he would start to have like, hopefully I don't tear up, but he would start to have like blisters and like bruises, and like it was really bad, and like you could just tell he was in so much pain, which made me feel so upset. But like it's, in a
Mm-hmm.
way, like it feels like I have a little bit of comfort, and I know my mom does too, that he is gone because he's no
Yeah.
longer suffering. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but like obviously the grief is still there. So, but I remember, like, so he died. He passed on a Thursday, and I remember I had class on Tuesday, and I went to class like nothing ever happened. Which I don't know.
Right.
That's probably not a good thing. I don't know when it comes to that. I like I said before, I really struggle like communicating my true emotions and my feelings about it. But especially like around the time he passed, like, so I was starting my last semester of nursing school, and with that, like, that was already stressful enough. So with him passing, with my
Mm-hmm.
last semester, with me trying to figure out jobs and figuring out classes, figuring out clinicals and all of that, I don't that took a lot, honestly. And I don't share that part either, like, but that was a lot for me. But I went to class on Tuesday. The next Tuesday, like, nothing really happened, which isn't
Right.
a good thing. But I don't know. that's something, like I said before, that I need to work on, because even so, this is kind of funny. So one of my nursing friends, I told Florence and Simi this before, but one of my nursing friends asked me like how my parents are, and I say they're fine, knowing well that obviously that's not true. So
Yeah,
it's just something.
yeah.
Yeah, that same friend, so I have my ceremony December 7th, for nursing school, and she was asking me, "Oh, is your mom and dad gonna be there?" And I said yes, but
Chika.
like,
I'm
in
weak,
a
man.
way,
She said
my mom's
yes.
gonna be there, but his spirit will be there. So in a way,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yes.
You're
In a
not
way,
lying. You're not lying.
I'm not lying,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
but
You know,
still,
you're not lying for sure.
I just I need to come up with an excuse though, on like as to why, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tell her by then. I don't know if I'll feel ready to tell her, but I need to
Mm-hmm.
come up with an excuse. But yeah,
That's
I was going
valid.
to ask, do you guys know what makes it hard to open up about that
death,
part, like that happening? Yeah.
because it's death. Death isn't something easy to
Yeah.
talk about. Like it's
I
it's a
think as
very
a
heavy topic.
society, we haven't normalized death enough. For something that happens every blessed day, we haven't
Right.
normalized it enough. Like, it's this, like, very, like, I guess because it's very sad and depressing. It's so we
Mm-hmm.
just, like, hover around it. I don't know. I think because it's so painful and it's also so personal.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be intruding in people's lives and things like that. And, like, it's also very permanent. So I think those are the three reasons why we're like we just hover and hover. So that's I think for me that's why I struggle telling people. Aside from the fact that I'm private, it's just like I also don't want to ruin your day, like because I also don't want to console you too. It's a lot. Like I don't want to comfort you because I can barely comfort myself, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
like I also feel like we don't know how to talk about it. It's very awkward too. Like there are a lot of things I feel contribute to that. Like it's very awkward. And also, like sometimes I can say and I'm fine. Some other time I will say I burst into tears. I don't start crying in front of you. It's not everybody I feel comfortable crying in front of, you know. So I feel like there are a lot of factors, but that's just me personally. These are the different things that drive that. Like I also don't want you to feel sorry for me. There are a lot of
100%.
reasons. Like I don't want your pity because it's not, I don't see it as something that's very pitiful. I just see it as something that's painful. But again, I think because of the way we approach death, we just say, oh yeah, and you feel sorry for them is normal. You're human, but I don't want to see that like the look because when I've told my friends. The way their face changes, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see that over and over and over and over and over again.
Hmm.
Absolutely not, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree. I definitely agree with your perspective on that. I think it's something that isn't like you said. It's really permanent and it happens all the time. So like
Mm-hmm.
I guess people do try to kind of disconnect from that in a
Right.
sense because there's nothing you can really do about it. I mean, in my
Exactly.
in my situation, I think I have a little bit of a different perspective because whenever that happened, that whole situation happened, and then there was a whole ruckus with his family and just the whole. I don't know if you guys ever watched like African Magic and all that kind of crazy stuff. Like for real,
Yeah.
like no, for real, like that's what it was. Like it was a whole bunch of bullshit that happened after that. So like
Hmm.
I never really had time to grieve that much, and I had to go back to
Mm-hmm.
school. So like in terms of like why it might be hard to talk about it. Like for me, because of how I saw my like my dad's people behave. Part of the reason for me, even though I did tell like my friends at the time, like like what was going on, and then people got to know from them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason why, like even now, like growing up after that, like not really talking about it is because like the truth is for me, I just don't think people really give a fuck about that type of stuff. Like what I'm saying, like just in and maybe just from my own perspective, like I just feel like Simi mentioned this at the beginning, like life just kind of goes on. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a case of, yeah, like I don't want to console you, I don't want to like ruin your day and everything, but like I know that I'm the one dealing with this shit at the end of the day. Like I'm the one
Right.
that's gonna have to deal with it. Like no matter how much you can try to console me or try to kind of tell me words of encouragement. Like the person wearing the shoe is always the one that knows where it hurts the most. Like nobody's really gonna be able to understand like where it hurts you, because everybody has kind of a different relationship with people that they love. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be you miss the person for like, maybe their words of encouragement, or just like for things that they did for you, or them being there for you. Like it's different things that come into it. So um part of the reason why I never really used to talk about it like that much was just because I was like, I didn't think that many people, like anybody, really cared. And also I think that also comes from me being an only child, that might affect it, because I didn't really have I don't know how it feels to kind of like maybe not kind of how to express myself in the terms of like, maybe if you have like siblings, I don't know, it's different, I know it's different, but like maybe there might be a way to like, you talk to them without kind of escalating it to your parents, because at that point in time
Right.
it was just my mom,
Yeah.
so it was like anything I felt like I can't just go tell my mom like, oh, I'm feeling down, because she's gonna feel bad too, and she's gonna feel
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
so I just kind of had to honestly just suck it up and just be like, all right, cool. I feel bad and everything, but like for the sake of my mother, because she wasn't doing good at all, like she was not good at all, especially like combined with what his family was on, like, all the it was a lot of bullshit that happened, with that. I don't need to get into details, but like just a lot of bullshit, property, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
um um yeah, that definitely like, put me off from just kind of talking about it for me.
Yeah. Because you're Igbo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I haven't had like someone close to me pass away, but I've seen things that happen when a family member passes away.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
and it's sometimes people start acting. It's insane.
No, it
But
is definitely insane.
it's
That's why I
insane.
mentioned the grief. I wasn't really able to like till today. I don't know. Like I feel like I still need to go deal with it. Like even though it's been like however long it's been, I still feel like, because this all happened like a month. Like he died, they came, did whatever they were doing. Then I had to be back in school, like all in the space of a month. And again, you're like, I'm 13 years old. Like I don't really even fucking understand what just happened. Like I still don't get the consequences of it. But anyways, like yeah, let's just move on to school. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys were saying how like people like coming to people and telling people what happened and feeling like life just kind of moves on. And I mean, I'm friends with both Chika and Simi, and one thing I struggled with was understanding the best way to be there for your friends. Because I don't know if I did that. I don't know if I did that enough, because I didn't. I knew that you guys were going through this thing, but like I didn't want to bring it up and be like, I'm ruined. Like I didn't know if I would be ruining the mood by asking you like, oh, how is everything going? And then maybe like I'll like I'll remind you of something. I don't know. Even like when I've had people like this, like family member, my cousins that have lost somebody, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I really want to like console them, but I don't know how. Like, would they think I'm like, why is this girl bring this thing up? Like, like how would you
Yeah.
like people to treat you and like be there for? Because obviously you want to be there for people. Me, I just did by giving money. I didn't give any of you money, but if you want money,
I'm weak, bruh. She
but
said money.
but yeah, I genuinely don't know how to like. Not that I don't know. Like obviously, it's not rocket science to be there for somebody, but
Right.
it's like when do you bring it up? Because I know when you were going through that thing, Simi was just like every time I was Simi, we were just laughing, and I'm like, this girl. This girl is going through a lot, and I know she's going through a lot, but I don't want to be like, oh, how is everything? And then it's like, oh, like, and the same
Yeah.
with Chika too. Like, I mean, like, I will reach out to Chika, but again, so how do you guys want to be treated by, I guess, other people? Except like the obvious things, like obviously don't be stupid about it, but like what kind of treatment would you feel like if you got, you would have felt more consoled by friends or not maybe not family members because they're also going through the same things, but people that aren't that didn't lose the same person for them. That makes sense.
Right. I mean, for me, I feel like I think I said this earlier. Like, it's very lonely. I don't think there's any. Well, let me not say that. It's very lonely, and like, I guess like when like for example, you use me as an example. Like, oh, I was always laughing and stuff like that. That's just me pretending. In all honesty, that's one of the hardest times of my life since I've been born. But I struggle opening up to people anyways, so it's easy for me to like crack a joke, everybody's laughing. Then when I go to my room, I'm crying. That happened how many times? It's depressing to say out loud now, but I was just misbehaving and like, I feel like just ask because I feel like we're always overthinking. Like, oh, I don't want to say like because that the littlest thing reminds me of my brother. Like the other day when man and I went to Walmart, one boy passed me. I reminded him of my brother. Like anything small, like even this song by Ashake Bandana, because that was one of my brother's favorite songs before he passed. And so like I live every day and I remember him. He's always at the back of my mind. So you bringing it up and say, "Oh, I'm just checking to see how you're doing." Like that is at least personally for me. I don't think it's good to ruin my day or going to make me upset or things like that. I mean, obviously, there's sometimes that if everybody's laughing and then we're in a group session, obviously, I don't go to say, "Oh, see me, how are you doing now?" Obviously, like wisdom, but I think just ask. Honestly, I think we're always overthinking. Like, oh, I really don't want to bring. But the thing is that more likely than not, that person is most likely already down or is already at the back of your mind. You never forget. Like, even though you're not crying and whatnot, it's still at the back of your mind. So I will. My own suggestion would be just ask because I definitely didn't. And this is not coming for Forest or Chika or any of my friends. I didn't feel that support, and I don't know if that's because I didn't talk or they didn't know how to approach me or because me I'm pretending. I've never felt more alone in my whole life. Like, and I was telling my mom the other day, I didn't know how to even tell my family. It was until I was down bad, I spoke to my mom. I didn't know how to tell my siblings because I think that I don't want to upset them too. Like friends were saying, they're also going through this too. So it was definitely very lonely. And so my own suggestion or answer to your question would be just ask, like, how are you doing? I know you're going through this. I just want to check in to see how you're doing. End of story. Like, I don't think I mean, Chika, Emmanuel and Chika, you guys can say, but I don't think that would cause any problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I didn't tell a lot of people about my dad's passing, so not a lot of people were checking up on me because they didn't know. But the people that did know, like they were,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind them asking. I honestly really appreciated it. Um, there's
Mm-hmm.
actually these girls that I grew up with um, in my neighborhood, and they knew about my dad. They knew about his condition, and they knew about his death, but they never reached out to me. And that bothered me a lot. Even though, like, we're not
Yeah.
close now, we don't really talk that much, but I grew up with these
Yeah.
girls. We went to the
Mm-hmm.
same elementary school. One of them, we went to the same middle school, but we were all in the same neighborhood. We did, we spent our growing years together, and they knew about his death, but they did
Right.
not say anything. And I have thought about that
Mm-hmm.
for so much. I don't know, like it really bothers me
Yeah.
that they did not say anything, and they still haven't, and
Mm-hmm. Oh,
they
yeah.
still haven't. So that makes me
It's
so upset.
annoying.
So it's so annoying. So the thought of somebody like wanting to reach out, and I I appreciate it. I like it. So
Mm-hmm.
if anybody, if any of my friends would want to, then I think it's really nice and sweet. So I don't mind that at all.
Right. Yeah. Again, like I have a very different perspective, because like it's so long. Like when that whole thing happened for me, like some of my friends knew about it, but we're still kids. Like we don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
so, it's like cool. Like my dad died. Oh shit, that's kind of that seems messed up. But like we don't get it. Like we're not old enough to understand. Like okay, this is actually like this is something that's permanent. This is gonna cause so many things to change, and your life. This is gonna cause so many things to happen. So, like in terms of like how I would want somebody to like, I guess I'm past that stage now. Like, I I I don't know. I just couldn't. I didn't get any like. I don't think I got any support necessarily like from friends at that point in time. Like maybe like people knew and like people would tell me like okay like oh we're sorry about your dad passing, but in terms of like oh checking up on me or like, how are you doing or like I remember like after that whole thing happened I went back on winter break and nobody texted my line, nobody texted me shit, like nobody told me anything,
Right.
nobody told me anything about like what was going like and it's cool because it's like we're young, we're kids and everything, so like I didn't really expect people are looking forward to like going eating like Christmas chicken or that's like for real like no, for real. Like, for real.
Love
That's what we're.
Christmas chicken.
Yeah, that was the main thing on our minds at that point in time. Okay, some people maybe are going on vacation. They're looking forward to
Right.
that. So, like Simi said, it's lonely. Like, and I really had to walk through that path by myself. I I really had to deal with the grief for myself. I had to console myself, and I had to help myself. Like it's something that's very permanent. It's very lonely. And like I was telling Simi the other day, like my mom then had to find a way to, after losing everything, okay, like we lost everything, like pretty much that we had. She had to find a way to kind of support me, and at that point in time, the school I was going to, same as Simi, like it wasn't cheap. Okay, so she had to, I don't know, it was really my mom, my grandma, my aunts. They're really there for me, and for her, that kind of helped me to kind of continue going to school and everything. But as far as the question in terms of like how I would say it might be nice, for me, definitely like I don't think, because at the end of the day, okay, what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is this: people can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna be alone. You're still gonna be by yourself at some points in time. Like your friends are not always gonna be there to ask you how you're doing. Like even if they mean the best, like okay, want to check up on you, there's still gonna be so many times when you're gonna be alone. There's so many times when you're gonna have to walk that path by yourself. Like you're
Yeah.
not always gonna have access to people that are gonna check up on you. So like in my case, like I looked at it as like okay, cool. Like at that point in time, I was pissed because I felt like people like okay, maybe like something or whatever. But I realized that whatever I went through at that point in time, I was gonna have to go through it at some point in time in my life, anyways. If I didn't go through it at that point in time, I was gonna have to walk alone and like figure it out by myself. So the short answer to that question would be I don't have an answer. Like I don't really know how it would be, like because I wasn't really old enough to understand like what I would want or how I would want to be treated. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
That
That
does
makes
make
sense.
sense. Well, I guess my question for you guys is what has been the most challenging thing now, like post this thing happening and changing your whole life? Like, if you could think of something, what would that be?
Mm, oh, I don't know if I don't know if you want to go. Chica. I have a lot, like like because
No,
like
you
over
go.
the.
You go ahead.
All right, cool,
Yeah,
cool, cool.
literally.
Um, like for me, man, um, I felt so much pain, man. Like I went through so much pain, and like you said, Simi, and also Chika, like like it's a painful thing regardless. Like even what Chika said, like you going to school or going back to class, like the Tuesday after that happened. Like I don't think it's weird because I did the same thing. I went back to school and like I just had to, again now going on to what Simi is saying, I had to pretend, like I had
Yep.
to just like I don't want to be, I didn't want to be the killjoy, like oh that's the dude, like okay cool, like he's
Yeah.
all depressed and everything, moody
Mm-hmm.
as fuck, you know what I'm saying. I didn't really want that to be like my image at that point in time, so
Yeah.
I definitely had to learn how to balance pain and trying to move on in life, or trying to make a way for myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of like life altering things, like if I'm getting from like your question, Simi, like how this affected like life moving forward, right? Is that your question?
I guess, yeah. And yeah, yeah.
Um, like I mentioned earlier, like I had like a lot of trust issues. You know, like when my family fucked up. You know, my dad's side of the family, they really did some messed up shit. You know, and this was me dealing with his loss, and also trying to deal with the betrayal. You know,
Mm,
like trying to deal with like I don't know if I should be sad that like my dad is dead, or I should be sad that his brothers and sisters are trying to fuck me over. You know, like
right.
I don't know what to be sad about, you know? Like they didn't really want me to go back to Trinity. They didn't want me to go back to school. Like, you know, they were like trying to just a bunch of stuff. Like, you know, they would tell my mom, okay, cool, like, you know, um, don't let him go back to school there, you know, and this was because I continued there. That's why I was able to make I was able to make a way like in my own life anyways. Like they
Right.
wanted to put me in some, I don't know, man, like they were doing some scandalous shit. um and that really shaped my life in the sense of even till today, you know, like I don't trust people, you know, I don't trust people like at all.
Mm.
Because if my own blood can like screw me over shit, like you're a stranger, I don't know you, you know. So like it's like, no, for real, like, you know, like I don't, like I just look at life like nobody owes anybody anything. At the end of the day, we're gonna die, everybody's
That's
gonna
very
go.
true.
You know what I'm saying? Like like I was telling to me the other day, like it's a great thing when you find like, you know, like one friend, like one person that actually genuinely gives a fuck about you. Like to find one person that genuinely, like, you know, wants you to do good, wants you to succeed, you know, wants you to be a better version of yourself genuinely, it's hard as fuck. Like that's why, like, whenever you find one person, two people in this life that you feel like, you know, you really vibe with, and they care about you for real, like it's something that is very, like, you know, it's like a diamond, you know, like, because it's
Mm-hmm.
hard. Because I'm just sharing my own story, like my own blood, like my own family was against me, you know. So like if there's somebody that, you know, that's not even your blood or your family that, you know, wants the best for you, man, that's a lot, you know, that's a lot. It definitely did change. And again, my own case is different because this is abnormal. Like, you know, families don't behave like that. You know, so it's abnormal, and I understand that. So I'm not gonna say it's something that everybody like, okay, cool. Like if you lose a loved one, you're gonna feel like, no, no, no. In terms of just like his loss, like I had to grow up and become a man like overnight, because
Right.
I didn't have any role model no more. You know, I didn't have anyone to
Mm.
look up to. Definitely wasn't gonna look up to my uncles. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, hell yeah. Like so like I didn't have anyone to look up to anymore. You know, like
That's
and
valid.
me and my dad were close, like real close. You know, like
Yeah.
real close. You know, I'd go to work with him. He was a civil engineer, so like I would go to like his sites, and I would be like making my own little, like, you know, I'd take my little shovel and like just act like I was doing some work on the site. You know, just little dumb shit. You know, like as a kid. You know, so
Yeah.
I definitely think it affected me negatively to a point. But again, um, I'll be lying if I said that it didn't affect me positively,
Mm-hmm.
because without that happening, I don't think I would have the drive that I have right now. At least take care of my mother. You know, like
Mm.
I don't think I would have the kind of like, you know, in the sense of like I want to make him proud. You know, in a sense, like, but at the same time, like I don't want to let my mom down, like, you know, because I know that she had a lot of faith in me when that
Mm.
happened, like, you know, because she just kind of put all her hope and trust in me, like, okay, like, you know, hopefully like he doesn't get all screwed up, because they, I don't know, they just didn't think I could make it. You know, they all knew how close I was to my dad, and I was young, so they didn't really think I could make it. But um definitely positives and negatives, you know, case by
Right.
case for each person. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you should only look at, because I know, like, you know, for Chika and Simi, like right now, it's still very like fresh, you know, like it just happened, you know. Like
Right.
I would just say, like, from my experience, right now you're going through all the negatives, right? You're going through all the negatives of it, and I don't even want to say any positive. Like I'm not saying positive in the sense of, oh, this is good that this happened. It's just that,
No, I
like,
get what you're
do you know what I'm saying?
saying. Like
Like
good
Yeah.
things will come from your
yeah,
pain. Like it's not
yeah.
always. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It makes
Exactly, you
sense.
know, like, but then again, like, you know, last thing I'm gonna say on that is definitely good things coming from your pain is a choice. You see what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
Yeah.
Like bringing out good things from your pain is definitely a choice. It's not a given. You know,
Right.
there are a lot of people that lose siblings, lose parents, and they you know, they're on drugs. You know, like they lose their life. Like so many things can come out of that. So my last thing, just like, you know, good things can come from that, but you have to find a place in yourself, find some strength in
Yeah.
yourself to utilize that pain to get to something better.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I feel like I keep saying this, but obviously the situations are a lot different. But for me, I
Yeah.
feel like I've realized how just fake people can be. Um,
Mm.
so
Mm.
again, so my dad was diagnosed 2018, and then he really started to like, I don't know if this is the right word, but like deteriorate,
Yeah.
yeah,
you know what I'm
Deteriorate.
trying. Thank you. Around like
Yeah.
2020, like he started to lose function of the like walking, talking, all of that. So like it got bad, and my mom, like I'm a private person, obviously I don't really like to share a lot about myself, but my mom though, she will share information, and she was telling people like my dad's condition. So
Mm-hmm.
and then all like she told so many people, but did one of them come to our house? No. Did one of them like try calling my mom, trying to see like how's my dad doing, like how's he doing?
Yeah.
Barely. And then once he passed that day, like she was telling like people what happened, and like a few days after, she just kept getting calls and calls and calls and calls.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. Like, which I know I just said, it's nice to like reach out to people, and I get that, but where and where I don't know if I should say. I was about to say where I lived, so I'm not gonna say that. But we're all like in the same area, so these people could have
Right.
easily drove to our house and just
Mm-hmm.
checked up on him or just called my mom. But did
Mm.
that happen? No. But after his passing,
But, mm,
all these people want to show up like they've been here since day one, and I'm just like, fake,
Mm-hmm.
fake, fake, fake,
Mm-hmm.
fake. And
Mm.
even at the wake, so we had a wake this like 2 weeks ago, and
yeah.
I don't know, like all these people that were crying, and I feel like this was
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before, like one man, he was wailing, like wailing during the ceremony. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, okay, you have your emotions, I understand that, but I feel like this is so wrong to say, but like you weren't even there during like the most difficult times. Like yes, this was a
Right.
very
Yeah.
difficult time, but you weren't even there. Like so many, oh my gosh, so many of these people are fake. And another thing, I okay, so this was after my dad passed. I got a call from a guy that my dad used to work with. I don't know how he got my number, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
but he was calling me to try to get in contact with my mom, because I guess he tried calling my mom, or he texted my mom and my mom wasn't reaching out to him. And then he said something that was like so baffling to me. Like he was like, "I know you're going through a hard time, but what about me? What about you?
Uh-uh.
What about
Is
Uh,
you?"
everybody all right?
He was like, "What
What
about
does
mm,
me?"
that mean?
He was like, "What about me? I'm going through a lot too with this." I'm just like, when was the
where have
last time
you
I saw you?
been?
Where have
People
Where
you
are
have
not
you
all
been?
right.
been?
People are
It's
sick.
just, and honestly, it's just gotten me just so frustrated on like how people will act, and how people will try to, I don't know, and it's just so frustrating, like how fake people can be. And that's been like one thing that, obviously there are fake people in the world, but that's one thing that I'm very much noticing after my dad's passing. So it's been interesting.
Sometimes I think that's the thing, like Nigerian culture, and this might be a very wild assumption, but like we all want to be there as a community, but sometimes the family just needs space to like actually just consume what has just happened to them and actually like let it settle in. Because like the first week after I had my mom's house, wow, our house was
Oh
just
my
full.
god,
Guests, guests,
yes.
guests, 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 guests. They couldn't even process it because like everywhere is full. Everybody is everywhere, bro. And I know it comes from a good place. That's why like I'm not complaining or saying like, oh, this is bad. It's just like the family needs time to actually process that this has happened to us. How can I move forward? Because crazy. But on a more
Mm-hmm.
personal level, I would say like the most challenging part for me has been kind of, I don't say losing myself, because like me and my brother were close as hell. Like a man I said with him and his dad, and I always saw my brother as like my responsibility. Like we're only 2 years apart, so like we're body. So when he passed, I felt like I lost like that big sister part of myself, which is like a very big part of myself. Like if we're friends, I'm always doting on my friends and stuff like because I'm used to doing that. Like I grew up with this boy, so I'm always looking out for him and doing it's like so when that was gone, it was just like a part of me just vanished because I cannot be anybody's big sister again, unfortunately.
You can be my
Um
big sister.
Absolutely
What?
fucking not, bro. No. No. And I have to check myself on sometimes because sometimes I find myself like going to the extreme for my friends and I've noticed that oh I'm just trying to fill that void that I feel. Even till today I still feel that like I have nobody to be like, oh like just you know the way you do after your siblings is different from the way you do it after your friends. So just trying to fill that void has been the most challenging part because it's just like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't ask my parents to have another child, you know? So it's like you lose a part. Like I've lost that part of myself and there's nothing I can do to get it back. So it's been very
Definitely.
painful and like I'm trying to like maybe find myself again. Because I know I've mentioned this on this podcast before that like I've now entered the season where I'm trying to find myself because I've lost a very big part of myself. So I need to rediscover who I am without that peace. And it's been very challenging, but yeah, that's how it's been so
I
far.
believe in you.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Um, what are your expectations and hopes like moving forward and stuff? Like, what do you? I know Emmanuel has been long for you, so your perspective is a little different from Simi and Chika, but like moving forward, what are your expectations and hopes in dealing like in your healing process and dealing with this huge void in your life and how do you want because me I want to know because I'm you guys' friends, so how do you want your friends to be there for you? Because now I feel bad because I feel like I didn't do enough. Thinking back, I feel like I should have done a lot more, especially for you, Simi. But yeah, I want to know.
Chika, do you want to go? Or Emmanuel?
Sure, I can go. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like with me, I am more focused on my mom than I am and helping her heal rather than myself. Well, obviously, like I feel like my mom went through a lot because I mentioned that like during COVID, I was the one with my dad taking care of him. But after that, once I went back to school, like it was mainly her. I would obviously come home time to time and help out as much as I could, but she she did a lot of the work. So and on like just helping her heal from it, being home as much as I can, even if that's something I might not want to do at the time. But just just comforting my mom because after my dad's passing, she's she's gone through a lot. Like I haven't mentioned this. Well, I mentioned it to Florence, but after my dad's passing, like she has lost her eldest sister, her cousin, and her aunt in the span of and her husband in the span of 3 months. So just like being there for her, helping her heal, and I don't know, trying to it's gonna be hard to get her mind off of this, but like I guess trying to be like a distraction or get her mind off these things and honestly just being there for her. But in terms of my friends, I don't know. Like I haven't told that many people that I know, so I haven't really been discussing it, but just like I said before, like reaching out is fine. Like just checking up on me like from time to time would be nice, but I don't know. I'm really not too
So
much
wait,
to
how
be
are
honest.
you expecting to like heal? Because you've talked about your mom, but what about yourself as well?
Well, I feel like being with my mom helps too. Like just being in a company, like being with someone, because I feel like when I'm at school, like nobody at my school knows. But when I'm at school, I just feel so alone. So like just being home, being with my mom, us having these conversations, and honestly, these conversations really do help.
They
It's
do.
like it's not good. It's not good to like bundle like everything in. It's really not. And like I've said, that's something I really struggle with. So just having these conversations with my mom or with my friends can really help. So
I guess for me, I would say my hope for the future. Is that was your question, right?
Yeah, like
Like
your
your
hope and
hopes.
expectations for healing, and then like how you want support doing that.
I think for myself, I my hope for myself is to stop. I guess I feel a certain amount of guilt when it comes to my brother. But I think that might just be normal. Like when you lose someone, like you feel like, oh, I wish I said this, or I wish I called you more. I wish I did this more. Or like when life is good, you're like, oh, I shouldn't be enjoying or whatnot. But for me, it's less of that, just more of, oh, I wish I was there more. I wish I was this more. I wish I said this more. I wish I said I love you more. Because it was when we started, it was when this happened, we started actually saying I love you as a family. Like we all knew we loved each other, but we never used to say it like vocally. So when my brother passed, I don't even know because we never actually spoke about it, but we just like saying it. Like I actually love you, bro. Like it's not just like oh, because I don't know. Growing up, we never actually said "I love you" with our mouths. It was more of action. So I guess for me, my hope is to release that guilt because I feel like that will help me heal for sure, and help me well not move forward, but just learn how to carry my grief. I don't know. I think same thing Chika said. There's nothing. Honestly, there's nothing your friends can do. Just check in. There's all. They can't bring them back. So there's, at least in my opinion, I don't think there's anything your friends can do. Honestly, just be there the best way you can, and like check in from time to time. Like, yeah, that is it.
Um, I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. um, shit. I guess expectations now moving forward. Okay, actually, my main expectation or my hope all these years was just my mom not dying. That has been my main hope over these years because my dad dying made me understand my mom can die too. That was something that happened to that like it was a profound thing that happened because I always thought my parents would, I thought it would be like, okay, cool, like it's, it's normal. I'm just gonna grow up. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be there for me. They're gonna die of old age. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just gonna be, you know, my hope had just been because, kind of like Chika, um, my main focus was my mom and trying to help her heal from whatever was going on, and because she was the one that really understood the ramifications of what had happened. She's the one that knew what our financial situation was. She's the one that knew that I was, without the help from her family, that we were fucked. And for lack of a better terms, we were highly fucked. We didn't really have anything. No, for real. Like no. In hindsight, now it's. I feel I feel definitely much better now. Like years after, I feel much better. At that point in time, I definitely cannot have this conversation.
Right.
Definitely not in this manner. But definitely we were fucked, and I had hope, or I wished. I was like, man, look, if my mom dies, I'm an orphan. I'm done. It's what I'm saying. Like I was like nobody, because no one as a kid, okay, you guys know that like no one is gonna put in or go hard for you like your parents will. Okay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like your uncles, your aunts might love you, but no one really. All things being equal, no one is really gonna show you or go hard for you like your mom or your dad will. Okay, so like I already lost one of that, and I knew already, like, losing him, because you can imagine, like, nuclear family, it's just mom, dad, me. So it's three of us, and like, we're all just like, buddy buddy and whatever. It wasn't really even ever like situation whereby I didn't feel close to I felt close to both of my parents like the whole time. So when he left, definitely the bond with my mom became much stronger because we needed each other to progress, or at least just to like get through the whole thing. Um, so I guess for now, expectations would just be just my mom. Like I think I'm not done yet. Like with my whole mission with my mom. At least just taking care of her and making sure everything is good with her. And I think whenever I get to that stage where everything is good with my mom, then I'll go deal with myself. I don't think I've dealt with myself yet. And it's been a long time. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, in my own perspective, like it's been 10 years, so like, I guess if you guys are drawing from what I'm saying, like this shit doesn't end. Like I'm not even trying to say it in a bad way. Like, it's not like I definitely like time heals everything. Like I was explaining to Simi the other day, like time heals all wounds, but it doesn't heal all wounds in the sense whereby you forget. Like it heals all wounds because like as you move on in life, you have more and more experiences, right? That push that other experience to the side, but it never leaves though. Like it's always something you're gonna remember. But like you having more and more experiences, that's why I mentioned earlier, like it being something that you have to make a choice about. You have to make a choice to kind of push that to the side, not because you don't care or you don't love them, but because you have to make a way for yourself to be able to actually deal with it. Because what happens is when you dig yourself into a hole and you don't want to, and people look at moving on as like a bad term, like, oh, I'm moving on means no, no, no. To me, moving on is okay, understanding, like, because I think there are different phases. There's the initial shock stage where you're shocked and you
Yeah.
just don't even understand that like this person is gone. I was just with them. How did this happen? Like, and it all happens so fast, right? And then I think the next stage would be, the stage where you beat yourself up. Like you're like, man, like maybe I could have been there. Like Simi was saying, I could have been there. I could have done more. What if this didn't happen? What if they didn't? You have all the what ifs and you're questioning God and like you're asking why this had to happen to you or your family. But then I think after that, I think there is a stage after you make the choice, and I'm sure like everyone on here would agree that the right choice would be to utilize that pain to be better.
Yeah.
So after making that decision and making those like putting those things in place, I do believe there's a point in time when you get to, and not even I believe, I know that there's a point in time that you're gonna look back and be like, you know what, this person would be proud of me. Like this person, I've done something in my life to an extent whereby I know that if they were here, they would be happy. And now when you think about this, you don't think about it and cry anymore. You think about it, and if you do cry, you cry tears of joy because you know that this is something that they're not here to experience, yes, but this is something that would have made them very, very happy. And me, I believe that they do they see these things. I don't know what happens after you die. Yes, it will happen to everyone, but I do believe that, and from my own experiences, I do believe that they're still here with us, in one way or the other, either in your heart, like, from just in a way, like I don't never ever feel like you're, even though you're alone, but never feel like you're completely alone. They're always there. These are people that love you, and these are people that have been there for you. So I think just feeding off that, like my expectations or my hope were just making sure that I could, you know, give my mom a better life, and then I'll deal with myself. And then your second question, how friends would kind of, how I'd like friends to assist. Is that what you said?
Like with your healing process.
Support you, yeah.
Okay, like I think for me, like I think I'm past that stage.
I
I
mean,
think,
Mano, you're still healing, no?
I mean, like I'm not gonna like past that stage doesn't mean I'm healed. Okay, like because like I told you, Simi, like I haven't been to his graveside in 10 years. Like since that
Right.
happened, I haven't gone back to the grave. Like that shows you something. I haven't dealt with it. I haven't really like, like the reason why I say I'm past that stage now is because all my friends, like my close friends, they know like my situation. Like they know like it's just me and my mom. But I think I don't know. Maybe it's weird, like because like for me, I think it's been so long. When I tell people, okay, cool, like they ask me, oh, how's your mom and dad? I'm like, oh, my dad passed, and then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, oh, it's cool, it's cool. Like when did this happen? I'm like, oh, it happened in 2013. They're like, oh, like it's almost like, you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like it
That's
really
so
is.
funny, I swear. He said,
Like
oh,
you know,
Terrible.
like
oh, is wild. That is
you know,
crazy.
That's terrible.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I've definitely had that. I've definitely had that response from people before.
Wow.
so it's like, to me, I just like, I'm like, well, people kind of, that's my whole point about saying like people don't give a fuck. Like a lot
Simi,
of people
stop
don't care.
laughing.
care.
No, for real.
Honestly, to be clear,
It's
No,
so
no, no, no,
bad that
no, 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 for
someone
real.
say that, bro.
No, for real. Like,
No, it's fine.
it,
Yeah.
that's just my point of bringing up the whole thing of like, majority of people, like 98% of people don't give a fuck, and it's fine. Okay, like that's I'm not saying this like, oh, I wish people cared, because it made me who I am today. Like going through that by myself made me who I am today. Like, you know, it made me who I am in the sense of like, I don't need nobody. Like I just like, nobody was there for me like that, you know what I'm saying, when I was in my lowest times, you know. And I had to kind of grow like that, which I told Timmy the other day, like, you know, I don't think it's something that I love about myself, because, you know, nobody's an island, you know, like we all need somebody, like we all need people, we all need to trust somebody, you know, like we all need to be cool with somebody or express ourselves to somebody. Like nobody's an island, and I understand that. I don't even say that from a point of like, oh, like yeah, whatever, like no, like I understand that we all need someone, so that's something I would want to work on myself. But again, that's, I guess that's the hope. Like I hope I can get to a stage whereby I can actually put that time in and, like, you know, look in myself and like see, okay, cool, like what have been the consequences, because I think I've just been counting the good things that have happened after he died, in terms of opportunities and, like, you know, progression in my life, helping my mom. And I haven't really sat down to think, okay, like how has this negatively affected you, like, you know, what are the consequences, how can I heal from that, how can I take care of that. So in terms of friends, like I think just my friends nowadays, like just, you know, just talking to them, you know, like sharing how I feel. You know, I never really talk about it anymore, if I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. It's not something that like I've had stretches of good days without having a bad day. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, like it comes in, it comes in kind of blocks. You know, maybe now you have like one good day and then the next day is bad, and then you have one good day and the next day is bad. But that one good day starts to turn to two good days, and then it starts to turn to three good days, and then it's four good days, and then it's a week, then it's a month, then it's, of course you're still gonna have bad days, but you know, the aim is to kind of work on yourself to an extent whereby you can minimize those bad days. They're always gonna happen, but yeah, I don't know if I answered your question properly, at least the second
Yeah,
question.
you
But
did.
I don't know. That's just how I feel with
I
that.
also wanted to know from you, Emmanuel, like, is it like dealing, like being able to, like your own situation, do you think it has anything to do with being a man? Do
Hell
you
yeah,
think, okay.
hell yeah, 100%, like 100%. Like back home in I mean in Nigeria, the only reason why my mom wasn't completely finished was because I was a man, like because I was a son, pretty much. Like because their whole thing about it was they couldn't really like completely screw her over because I had my dad's last name, right? So like it was like
wow.
they still had to like, and my mom told me this is what she told, this is not an assumption, like she told me that, you know, it would have been much worse. And you know, of course, like this is not something that I think it's good, you know, but that's just how it was, you know, like they couldn't really do as much as they could or wanted to because they knew that, you know, at some point in time, you know, whatever, I don't know even what their perspective was, but that definitely played a role in it. And in terms of like taking care of my mom, that definitely played a role in my head too, because I don't know, I think it's just, I don't know, I just had to take that role,
Yeah.
like kind of, I had to play that role of her husband, I had to be her husband, I had to be her brother, I had to be her everything, you know, I had to be everything for her. So I think trying to fill all those roles for her subconsciously kind of put me in a position whereby I had to put away everything that I felt and put away whatever pain or like, you know, anguish or grief that I felt to take care of her. And again, that was my situation. But I think in terms of however it might be, like whatever the grief might be, I think when you're in a situation whereby you lose a loved one and you have other loved ones that are being affected by this, I think everyone kind of switches positions. I think everyone that's involved kind of takes a position shift. Like, you know, Chika, in your instance, now like you said, you're trying to help your mom. So now you're playing a different role than a daughter would normally play. You know, like in Simi's case, you lost your younger brother, you have your older siblings, you have your parents. Like now it's not only just gonna be okay, cool, like we have a younger sister or like we have siblings, like everyone is playing a role in terms of like everyone is trying to help somebody else. It's no longer just like, okay, like, oh, all right, whatever, like, I'm your brother, I'm your sister, yeah, screw you, screw this, whatever. No, it's like and correct me if I'm wrong, that's just how I think it is, because that's how it was for me. I definitely
Right.
had to change my role. Like, I wasn't just a son, no care in the world. Mom, can I go buy tantalizers? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like or like I couldn't really like do any of this stuff anymore. So
I
like,
agree. I
yeah,
agree. Yeah. In my instance, I would say like the switching roles thing definitely makes it like that is on point because I think all my life my parents had been everything for us. Like my dad does like my parents are very involved in our lives, but when this happened, they couldn't like it was so painful for them, and like I think the three of us subconsciously we decided, okay, this is something we're going to shield them from, even though like obviously they're going to feel it, but like things related to like my brother's funeral and stuff like that, my older brother was very like we cannot involve them because like we know how traumatized this is for them, and like it was like we kind of started protecting them even though they've protected us all our lives, so I definitely agree like bro, the whole funeral. I don't think I in my life. I love planning things, but I never thought I would be planning a funeral. And that shit was so intense and like design, like even little things like designing a gravestone. And it's like it's just they're so traumatizing. And you just over, and also having to do it so quick, like in the space of how many months, like it's ridiculous. And I also like before this, I wouldn't have thought of like, oh, when someone dies, it's like, oh, the person has died and that's it. But there's an after, like you need to lay them to rest and like, or like Emmanuel was talking about like family politics and things like that. So even the things that happen after are crazy. And like, why is it so fucking expensive to bet? It's so expensive to do a burial. You would think even the
So
fucking ground you have to pay for the ground you put there. Isn't that insane? Like you can't pity me enough
facts,
to give me this ground for free.
facts, facts,
Why?
facts,
yeah.
And it's not
facts.
even cheap. Like it's so just even things like that. So I definitely agree with Manu and Chika. Like you shift, like there's a shift because something is missing. So it makes sense that everybody rearranges to
Facts.
continue in life
Mm-hmm.
with this new situation. So yeah, that Manu is definitely spot on that. That actually happened with us
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like after my dad passed, I got a lot of calls and like a lot of older people in the community were telling me, "Oh, you have to be the one to, keep your family together, look
Mm-hmm.
after your mom, be with your mom, blah blah blah, all of that stuff." I got a lot of people told me that. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wasn't expecting that to be honest, but obviously that's what I'm going to do. You don't need to tell me that. But
Yeah.
yeah, like the role thing is very spot on. And like I they were telling me like you have to be the one to keep the family together, but with my so I have three older brothers, and with them
Mm-hmm.
they were the ones that were like doing the I don't know, I'm trying to think of a word but I can't think of it right now, but they were the ones doing the logistics of like the funeral and all of
Mm,
that, while I guess I was doing like obviously I helped with planning the funeral and everything, but like I was doing the more caretaker type role. So yeah, there's a lot of that.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for sharing. This
Period.
was really, really
Thank you for having.
nice to get like a different, not a different perspective, but like see what that looks like and feels like, and being on the other side of it because it's something that, like you said, happens every day for a lot of people. So I think this was a really, really beneficial conversation. Um, and it made me think
Vibes.
a lot about in my own side, like it made me think a lot about how to show up for people that are going through that thing because sometimes it also comes to a thing where it's like you're also wrapped up in your own life
Mm-hmm.
that is like in your own day to day that sometimes is hard to not hard but like it doesn't come to your mind to be like, oh, this person is really, really dealing with XYZ, and it would be helpful to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
in a more active way. Not yeah. So
I mean, I do want to say it's not an expectation. At least for myself, I don't expect my
I feel
friends
like
to like every.
I feel like it should be an expectation though. Like I don't want to I don't want my friends to be going through something and I'm like not there, you know? And
Yo, but I'm trying to say, like you said, everybody's going through something, right? Because your son has not passed your life doesn't mean your life is not shit. I'm not saying Florence's life is shit, but like, like you don't have to be grieving for you don't have to be grieving for your life to like, for you to be going through a tough time. So like, at least for me personally, I don't have an expectation that my friends must reach out and blah blah blah. But it's
it's
nice,
nice. Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
exactly.
but like is
But
like for
I'm
me,
not
I feel
expecting.
like I don't expect, but I said for me.
No, because I want to say so you don't feel bad. Like
uh,
there's no need to feel bad that I should be have been there for see me more. Or like honestly, there are no hard feelings here. Pets like for real.
Right. I think I definitely agree with you, Simi. I don't think at least from the perspective of the person dealing with the grief, like my own perspective, like there wasn't really expectation at that point in time. Again, mine is different, but like at least from what I remember, like there wasn't. I don't remember there being that much of an expectation, like from people that, yeah, like maybe it would have been nice, to get more texts or calls or whatever. But
Yeah,
like I understood at that point in time that I that this is a path I have to walk through by myself,
for
regardless of how
sure.
many people I have around me or how many people might reach out to me or whatever. Like I still have to walk through the path. And just like on a closing note, I guess, like from my perspective, and going to Chika and Simi, like this is like you guys mentioned, like this is something that is still very fresh in memory. And
Mm-hmm.
um I was telling Simi the other day, don't ever don't ever put yourself on a timeline. Don't ever give yourself oh, I have to stop, crying or whatever by a year, or like if I'm still doing this after like 6 months, then something is wrong, or like what I'm trying to say is give yourself time. Everybody has their own timeline, like everybody has their own timeline in terms of recovering from grief, and like Simi said, it's definitely one of the most powerful emotions, and I was explaining to her the other day, it's one of those things that, like, it really doesn't go, you get happy, then you get sad. You can't be happy and
Yeah.
sad at the same time,
Yeah.
but you can be happy and still feel grief, right? Like you can
Yeah.
be sad and still feel grief. You can be anxious for your test and you're still grieving,
Yeah.
like it's one
Right.
of those emotions that, like, it never really, like, it's not mutually exclusive. Like you can feel it with other things also happening, and it's very weird, so like don't ever put yourself in a box and think that, I have to do this and I have to do that. And also for um in both of your cases, like, Chika, you taking care of your mom, and Simi, you just taking care of your siblings in general, your parents. Like, one negative thing I learned from myself was, and I'm trying to tell you guys, just so you don't fall into that, is just also give yourself time to take care of yourself, no matter how much is going on, or no matter how much responsibilities you think you have for somebody else. Also give yourself some time, and also always find some way to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself doesn't have to be, oh, I'm not gonna I don't know, I'm not gonna cry today, or I'm not gonna show people that I'm sad. Like, it could be something like, look, it's a personal journey. Like, it could be, oh, today I'm just gonna go take a walk. I'm just gonna walk outside, like, whatever resonates to you, whatever you think brings you some sort of peace. Because at that point in time, when this kind of thing happens, the most valuable resource is peace, because you feel like you can never find peace. You feel like you're never able to feel yourself again. You're never gonna be able to be yourself again. You think it's always gonna be like this. I'm always gonna have these bad memories. I'm always gonna, because for me, like, when that happened, like, I thought I was never gonna get that image out of my head of my dad convulsing and, like, losing breath and just dying, and I still have it in my head, of course. But I had to understand that um it there's no timeline to this. Don't ever force yourself to heal faster than you should, you know, like, and honestly, when this kind of thing happens, like, it really is fuck whatever anybody else says, because like I said earlier, like, you know, it's only the person that wears the shoe that knows where it hurts. Nobody can ever tell you how you should feel or how you should express yourself or what you should do. You know, the only thing that we have a responsibility over is ensuring that this doesn't lead to something that has a detrimental effect on our lives. You know, like, you cannot let it lead you towards something that gets you to a worse place than you already are. Like, you know, you should always look at where you are right now as the lowest point, you know, and you should always think about it like, whatever is happening from this must be something that takes me a little bit higher, you know, like, so it's almost like you're putting yourself in a position whereby you can kind of spring off this, whatever you're feeling right now, whatever pain you're feeling right now, whatever you think might not be able to be expressed to other people. You might not always want to talk to other people. That's one thing I wanted to say also. Like, you don't always have to, you know, feel pressured to express how you feel. Even if a friend calls you and asks you, hey, how are you doing? You don't, and I'm sure I'm sure you guys know this, you know, I'm not trying to say something that's like unknown. Like, you know, if you don't ever feel like talking about something, you don't have to. Like, there's no pressure. And
Yeah.
anyone that pressures you to talk about it doesn't have the right intentions, you know. And you don't have, like Simi said, you don't have to go through grief to also have something going on in your life. And also, you don't have to go through grief to be able to kind of have an understanding of how painful it might be. You might not know the exact thing, but in terms of like just respecting people's boundaries or respecting people's timelines or how they see their own life is something very important. So again, I told Simi this the other day, like, there's nothing that I can say that would necessarily make anything any better than it is right now. But what I can say is, with time and with effort coming from your own part, you're going to be able to find some reason, and you're going to be able to find some inspiration or some solace, you know, from whatever has happened. And you're going to look back and know that you made the right decision to kind of not give up and not kind of let it go. You know, I think that's the main thing. I don't think you should ever let it go. Don't ever just give up on anything, because it's gonna be hard. Okay, like, there are gonna be times when you're gonna feel like shit. There's so many times you're gonna feel like there's no one there for you. There are gonna be times, like, even moving forward, there are gonna be times when your friends are not gonna be there. They're not gonna, and not because they don't want to be there, but at times things are just gonna happen. Life goes on, right? So, like, you really have to find a way to cope with this by yourself, because times are gonna come when you're not gonna have any other option but to be by yourself. If you get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know. So if you're able to find a way to deal with that, and it doesn't have to happen overnight, but it should be something you're constantly working on every day to find a way to, you know, to make a way for yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for sharing. It's been really enlightening. And thank you
Yeah.
for your also perspectives and being so open and vulnerable in this space that we are. So, with that being said,
Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at the Do You Get Podcast. You can send us a dilemma with the link in our Instagram bio and also in the link in the description of this episode. Make sure you also rate and review the podcast on Spotify and Apple. And yeah, we're leaving you with love, and always remember, you've got this. Grief comes and goes in waves, like Emmanuel has said. And you know, you'll be all right. We're all right, okay? Thank you for
Yes, man.
tuning in, and I hope you all have a lovely, lovely week. Bye.
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 Ewo.